Hi, I'm Trevor.
And I'm Brittany.
Since its beginning in 1973, Globe International has been doing one thing.
Taking the gospel to the nations of the world.
Globe began with a vision to help missionaries and churches fulfill the Great Commission of Jesus. That vision still guides the organization.
Today, the Globe Network oversees over 250 missionaries in 40 nations.
In this presentation, Globe remembers and celebrates over 40 years of global impact.
Join us as we travel back in time to changes in America and the birth of Globe International.
It shall be the policy of this nation to regard any nuclear missile launched from Cuba against any nation in the Western Hemisphere as an attack by the Soviet Union on the United States. Give me your help and your hand and your voice.
You know, the 1960s were tough years for America. 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis took America and Russia to the brink of nuclear war. And then a year later, in 1963, President Kennedy was assassinated. But in all of that difficulty, a stage was set for an incredible move of God.
The conflict in Vietnam was growing, and many young Americans were sent to fight a war far from home.
Militant Buddhist monk Fru Quang was a Viet Cong command post. They arrested people found inside the pagoda.
A lot of young people got disillusioned. Many turned to drugs, sex, and a lifestyle of rebellion.
Jesus is the answer for the world.
But there was a positive side. God was at work too. The charismatic movement was growing. The Jesus movement started. Thousands of young people found new life in Jesus Christ, and hundreds of them came to Pensacola to attend Liberty Bible College. They were our first missionary force. Many of Globe's first missionaries were hippies and Vietnam vets who got saved in the 60s.
In 1962, I believe it was, I had gone back to seminary. I was pastor of Boulevard Baptist Church in Pensacola, and they had a missionary convention on the campus at New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary. And I don't know what it was that happened in that conference, but I felt that my chest was going to explode with just liquid love for people all over the world. I received the baptism of the Holy Spirit in March of 1964 and started Liberty Baptist Church in Pensacola. From the very beginning, we decided that missions was going to be a major thrust of our work. At that time, I didn't know that I was going to start Liberty Bible College. But 2 years later, we started the college, which really was the training arena for a lot of missionaries. And then I went to Mexico City the next year and met Bob Bell. Bob had come there from California. He just got saved, and he was all enthusiastic, and he wanted to save the world. and he didn't know Spanish or anything about Mexico, but he and his wife loaded all their belongings in a little utility trailer and hooked it behind their car and took off for Mexico.
What we did, we just, I quit my job and we sold the house and we went to Mexico City. We met Brother Wayne Myers. We worked with him for a while. He kind of took us around. It was at Mexico City. We also met Brother Kent Summerall. And one thing led to another on that we ended up going to the Liberty Church and Liberty Bible College in Pensacola, Florida.
Bob Bell was one of the first students at Liberty Bible College, and probably one of the, if not the first Globe missionary, one of the first Globe missionaries.
Paul Kohler graduated from Liberty Bible College, I believe, in '68, and we bought him a pickup truck and we sent him to Mexico. He was our first missionary.
I was the first missionary sent out by Liberty. There wasn't any Globe missionary evangelism yet. Bob Bishop was the Sunday school teacher for the youth group. In those days, they were just starting out in missions, and since I was the first, I was the guinea pig. And they sent me out with $60 a month, and there were some months that they forgot to mail the checks, but I was their pilot project.
In 1973, Globe opened its doors. By 1975, missionaries were going everywhere, to South America, Europe, and Asia.
As the missionary conferences began to come along, one of the early persons who challenged us in the missionary giving and faith giving was Wayne Myers. It was brand new to me, this business of faith promising and faith giving, and you talk about a challenge. And we stretched ourselves to providing support for missionaries, and some of us really got out on a limb. And I told one time, I remember telling Bob, I said, what I have promised for these things, if it turns out that God doesn't come through, Webb Electric Company is out of business.
In 1976, I was getting loaded down with so many other things going on in the college, and we had started a Christian school, and we had started a Liberty Fellowship of Ministers, and I was overseeing all of it. And so I asked Brother Bob Bishop to become the general director, and I would just remain the president and, be there for him if he needed me. But since the latter part of 1976, Bob is pretty well guided along with the missionary board. It became a separate entity from the church.
Somewhere in the late 70s or early 80s, Globe really began to grow. It became more of a national group of churches that began to associate themselves with us rather than just a local, kind of a local known group of churches.
David Kerr was Globe's first assistant director. He and his wife Debbie were in Scotland and were serving there, helping plant a church, and then they were called to come home and help Bob Bishop at the office. And David put together a slideshow using the old slide projectors, and he and Bob traveled around the country showing this show and promoting missions to churches all over America.
In the years following, many more missionaries went to the fields.
Yeah, people like Johnny Cruz, Dirk and Elizabeth Wood, and Brad and Jan Thurston.
Johnny Cruz, a Honduran national, finished Bible college and went to Spain in 1982. 10 years later, he returned to Honduras with his family and now oversees the In-Stay Bible Training Program, that provides Bible training to thousands of students in 10 Latin American nations.
Dirk and Elizabeth Wood started the Arise and Shine Evangelistic Association in the Philippines in 1985. Today, Arise and Shine oversees churches, schools, and ministry training programs in the Philippines, England, and South Africa.
In 1981, Brad and Jan Thurston went to Germany. In 1990, they started Globe Europe. Today, Globe Europe oversees over 100 missionaries from Germany, England, Switzerland, and Holland. The Globe Network now coordinates services and strategy all over the world.
In 1987, Josh Peters came onto the team as Globe's second assistant director.
I received a call from Bob Bishop to come back and help him to be the assistant director at Globe. I had no idea I would stay for 7 years, finishing in 1994, but I have to say those 7 years were some of the highlights of my life and my missions work.
You know, Globe's impact didn't happen without difficulty. Some of our missionaries gave their lives for what they were doing on the field. Glenn and Kim Davis were killed in an automobile accident in Mexico in 1980. And then in 1982, Herman Ubico died in another automobile accident in Mexico while driving home from Guatemala. His wife Judy stayed in Guatemala with their children and continued the work. You know, she could have come home. Today, she's still in Guatemala and is overseeing a large Christian school in the mountains. Rick Thompson went home to be with Jesus in 2001 after a year-long battle with cancer. And he's buried in Kitale, Kenya, on the Challenge Farm, right there with the people that he loved. His wife Sherry is still in Kenya. And then in February 2013, Linda West, who has been a lifelong friend of Globe's, went home to be with Jesus in Mexico. And her husband continues to serve there in Guadalajara.
It's been my privilege to serve Globe since its beginnings. All these years we've committed to one thing, to release missionaries to their God-given call.
Today, a new generation of missionaries are going to the nations.
Jim and Kelly McKethan went to North Asia in 2002. They now operate one of the largest indoor skate parks in their host nation and touch hundreds of young people every month through extreme sports events, media outreach, and personal and community witness.
In 2003, Sudeep and Annalise Khadka finished studies in Pensacola and returned to Sudeep's home in Nepal. From their base in Kathmandu, they now oversee a network of churches, a Bible school, an orphanage, and a home for the elderly.
Others went to Southeast Asia, Africa, and Central and South America to serve the poor, reach the unreached, and plant new churches.
This past decade has been challenging too. September 11th, 2001, New York City, I mean, that changed our country. That changed the whole world. And then only 3 years later, an earthquake and a tsunami that followed it hit on the island of Sumatra in Indonesia, in Southeast Asia. 250,000 people died at that event. 14 nations were affected. That was India, Sri Lanka, Thailand, the places that are very familiar to me. It was one of the worst natural disasters in recorded history. And then in 2010, only 6 years later, another earthquake, this time in Haiti, killed over 300,000. You know, the world seems to be going crazy. Natural disasters, political unrest, economic uncertainty. You know, Jesus said there would be wars and rumors of wars. Everybody on the planet is being affected by these things. But the fact is, God's people must keep a perspective through these difficult times. God is still in control, and we can't forget that. And we, as God's people, must still obey His mandate to go and preach the good news to the nations regardless of what is happening in the world around us. This is not an option for us.
Since 2009, Globe Hope has represented Globe International's Christ-centered response to poverty and natural disasters all over the world.
Globe Hope's motto, saving lives, serving needs, empowering people, guides the department's daily operations and its current activities in children's homes in Costa Rica, Kenya, and Nicaragua.
Globe needs an army of people from every age and background to help Globe Hope and courageously go and serve the nations in Jesus' name.
God is moving in powerful ways, not just in New York City, but all around the world. I believe that God is raising up a new generation of young people who are passionate for Jesus and have a vision to see their world transformed for the glory of God. And God's moving in all kinds of interesting ways. There's new church models that are being pioneered. There's new methodologies. There's new worship songs being written. There's churches meeting in bars and coffee shops and schools. There's underground churches. There's new conferences and books being written. And God is doing amazing things in our day. And I believe that the vision that God has given Movement, the vision that God has given me, and the vision that God has given Globe is to help empower this next generation to reach their world for Jesus Christ. To give them the tools and the resources and the support that they need to see their world transformed for God's glory.
God is a missionary God. This is how He has revealed Himself down through history. He is on a mission, and we are on a mission. We must be on this mission. This is Globe's task. This is Globe's mandate, to take the gospel around the world and tell everyone we can about the saving message of Jesus Christ.
People are hungry and they are waiting.
That's right. So what does the future hold?
Greater challenges and greater opportunities. It's time to get ready and it's time to go.
Living for Jesus and taking His gospel to the nations is the most exciting life you will ever live.
So get involved.
Pray for missionaries and support them financially.
Join your church's mission program.
Go on a short-term missions trip.
Take a missions class.
Get out there.
Wow, 40 years. Happy anniversary, Globe. We've been so honored and thrilled to partner with Globe throughout these years, highlighting the missionaries of Globe. And we feel like we're making a worldwide impact just being a part and highlighting them. And Globe just does things with such excellence, integrity, quality. That's just a hallmark when I think of Globe. And we partner with their Perspectives program. We have Doug Gaiman come into the studio here, and we promote that. And any which way we can to get behind Globe, we're just so thrilled to do it because it's just an amazing ministry, and we're just looking forward to the future being a part of Globe. And so anyway, good on you, Globe. We're happy for you.
Happy 40th anniversary, Globe!
So I have seen on the home front side of things how important it is for missionaries to have someone who support them and pray for them every day and take care of all the administrative stuff so that they can go about doing the missions work side of things. They can take care of the people in their countries.
Happy 40th anniversary, Globe!
I'm John.
And I'm Brad Thurston. We've been serving in Germany for 32 years.
I like Globe because it's a family business. It's a family ministry. I trust them. There's a lot of people on TV who will want your money, and they'll show pictures and you'll want to give to them, and that's nothing wrong with giving to that. But when you give to Globe, you know where your money's going. You know it's going to be an investment, and you know it's going to change the future.
I look back when I was in my 20s and had a call and a passion to go out into the world and preach the gospel, and I see how leaders around me and Christians around me encouraged my wife and I to go, and we left and went to the field for 15 years and raised our family there and made a huge impact. And now I see young people today signing up for that same assignment, going, serving, giving their lives when they have other options. And I think it is our responsibility, our generation, Globe as an organization, to get behind them and send them and empower them and encourage them in this work.